Hi everyone and welcome to Isamu Rat Care. So today's video is going to continue along the theme of socialising a nervous rat, and it's going to look at probably the biggest thing you can do for them. So it's actually going to look at company, a kind of ratty friend, and more than just a friend, because they're not necessarily going to be their own. You might get one or two nervous rats together, you may get more than that. But this is kind of having some sort of role model, a rat that is very confident, that can bring them out of their shell. So we've been looking a little bit about Burko as my kind of example rat in this, and he's a great guy, as we saw in the kind of assessment video, but he is very, very nervous. And one thing we did for him, which I mentioned in my last video but I'll go over again, is when you've got a rat that's nervous and is very much struggling in their group, one of the things that can really help is you need to find the right rats to go with them. And that can sometimes mean that you need to intervene surgically. So in Burko's case, it was because he was so overreactive to books, and we tried him with quite a different range of books when he was living with somebody else. And I knew this when I kind of found out about his history. And we tried small numbers of books, large number of books, young books, old books, and so on. It wasn't working. So it was clear then, in order to get him settled with some other rats, that we needed to neuter him. So he was castrated, absolutely fine. It's been plenty of days now after his castration. You're looking at around 10 for fertility means. I'm saying this, him and his friend is currently living in the cage next to me, as of introductions from yesterday. But yes, so he needed a particular kind of friend, and long term I want to get him settled with what we call the awkward group here, which is all the rats that don't quite get on that well with other rats, because I think he'll actually help. Adding a mixed sex kind of rat into the equation can sometimes help settle difficult groups as well. Just it creates a different atmosphere in the group. So that's a long-term plan. But in order to get him settled and to try and bring him out of himself and actually start learning to live with other rats again, because it's been quite a few weeks since he last lived with rats and he just wasn't settling. So I had to find the right rat, and none of the rats in the current awkward group really lent themselves to that, because, well, one of them might actually, and I would have considered her had I not got a better option, but she's a bit of an older lady and she still can get a bit narked by other people. And she's actually not the most friendly and forthcoming rat, and I wanted a rat that would be a real role model. So I picked one of my girls from my actual adult group, and I've been considering moving her into the so-called awkward group anyway, partly because she's a little bit, doesn't love kittens, she gets annoyed by them, but she also is just the kind of calming presence that I thought that group probably needed. So this is Tato, you may recognise her. She just looked like my other Rakuti adult rat, which is Finn. But she's a lovely, big, strong, confident girl. She loves people. She loves other rats apart from kittens. She thinks kittens are annoying, don't you? Yes. Which is why I was going to move her into the awkward group to try and sort them out and give them a good strong alpha fit character, which Tato has a real potential to be in the right group. So I decided that actually now was the perfect time to try and introduce her to Burko. And I wanted this kind of character with Burko. Let's grab him out. They've been in introduction for a little while now, and they love each other. But yes, I wanted to kind of give Burko that kind of strong character, and also one that was a similar age. He's not that old a book, which is why he didn't deal well with all the changes, Mr. He lacks a little bit of self-confidence in himself. As you can see, it's been a day, 24 hours since I started introducing them, and he's significantly more relaxed. So what I did was, when I started introducing them, I filmed a short video, which I'm going to put on. It just goes through, I did a slightly different approach to introducing these two. Because I knew Burko had problems before and could get quite stressed if I immediately put him into a small space, I still plan to use the carrier method, but I wanted to give him that little bit of time to get used to the method. And actually over the past kind of weekish, a bit over a week, couple of weeks since it's been here, we've started to build a little bit of a relationship of trust. And obviously Tato does trust me heavily, since she's my girl. So I started on me, so that's the first thing you'll see in the video, and then I'll talk you through how I go through to the intro stages. But it's quite a useful tool to do if you have the right relationship with the rats involved, or you just want to be that little bit cautious. It's not a step I'd recommend in every situation and for every person either, but it works quite well with me and the kind of relationship that I typically have with the rats. But yes, so that was my idea in terms of the role model. And when you're looking for a role model rat, or rats, it doesn't have to be a single rat, you're looking for a rat that is quite settled and calm and verging on bomb-proof, so a rat that is not going to get particularly scared. If, for instance, you get a couple of scared rescue babies, then going for kind of a couple of confident adult females can actually help bring them out, and vice versa. Actually, I took on a couple of adult females once. That one of them in particular was terrified. She just didn't deal with the change well, and so, some rats don't when they move as adults. And she was kind of rat that you could tell, a bit like Burko, there's a lovely rat hiding under there, but she actually bit me at least once because she got quite upset and stressed, and I had to kind of work and put a little bit of distance between us. But adding in a couple of really friendly kittens basically forced her to interact with me because they were flinging themselves at me, and she kind of like got dragged along by their enthusiasm. And it would be the same with kind of Tato and Burko. She will not only calm him down by being this kind of steady, kind of confident presence, but the fact she will choose to come and interact with me because all my girls kind of fling themselves at me. Again, he will see her doing that, and that kind of inspires them. So that's the theory behind this. So we'll get on with the quick video of me starting off the introductions. Then after that I've got a nice little time lapse which shows just a few minutes of them interacting. And one thing you'll notice is Burko is a little bit tense at times. He has quite funny behaviours in that he keeps tunnelling under Tato. He wants her attention, he wants her to groom him, to pay him attention back. She's not that interested. She wasn't on heat yesterday. She's wildly on heat today, which is, if you can hear any funny noises going on, they're having a friends with benefits relationship right now. But yes, I'll go on a little bit like that and show you the videos, and we'll see where we get to. So here's Burko and Tato. And they're meeting on my knee, first of all, because Burko's can get a little bit territorial with other rats, or more kind of scared. I am going to move into the show tank that's over there, but at the moment I just really want to assess what he thinks of her. He's been castrated for long enough now, but he will still have an interest in girls, but she's also clearly not on heat tonight. At the moment they're very relaxed around each other, which is great. Hey Burke. He's getting a lot better, by the way. He didn't give me much fuss coming out at all today. Alright. Shall we see what we make of each other in there? There's a bit of food sprinkled in. Go on, Burko. Yeah. Go on, Tato. Go on. Good girl, good boy. He just wants to show her who's boss here, which is fine. He was a lot bigger than her. But she's also not threatening to him in the way that another book would be, which is where the wonder of castration comes in. Makes a really big difference. In the past with his intros, he's been very uptight and terrified pretty much straight away, really fluffed up and overreacting and then attacking other rats. So this is significant improvement, and Tato's being really good with him. Lots of sniffing her bits. She's a girl, he's interested. And like I say, whilst he is castrated now and in the clear, he's also he's still got the desire. It isn't fully out of his system. We'd need to wait a few more weeks before he was entirely free of testosterone, so he will be interested. Right, I shall stop this for now and try and video them in fast speed rather than boring you with much the same. So this one is a quick example that despite being castrated, he's still got a very healthy interest in does, and actually she's got a very healthy interest in him. One thing to kind of bear in mind, if you are if you are trying to put a fairly recently neutered buck in with a doe, and there's potential for difficulties. I mean, if this hadn't worked out, I'd have waited until Tato was on heat, because the doe is much more receptive to the buck when she's on heat. There's been a few times where she's gone up to him, prodded him and saying, "Why aren't you mating with me?" because that's what her hormones are saying at the moment. But it's just quite interesting. You can see her displaying here, trying to convince him that he really does want to mate with her. So it wouldn't have been a bad time to kind of put them together. I should say on this subject, with him being neutered, he's been neutered for 10 days, so he should be in the clear. To be entirely honest, both have got a good family tree, as much as he's not from our line, so it wouldn't be the end of the world. But yes, I wanted to get him with company as soon as possible, because he's been quite a long time without. So 10 days is safe, considered safe. But yes, it doesn't stop him being very, very interested, and her being very, very happy about that. I think this is the start of a beautiful relationship. So you saw actually the video of Tato being on heat and Berko being very into her, despite the fact he's castrated. He may lose a little bit of his interest over the next few months, potentially, but I wouldn't be surprised if he still quite enjoys his eventual harem of ladies, and definitely quite happy with Tato at the moment. But the point about potentially introducing a doe to a castrated for long enough buck is quite a good one. If you are struggling, then that is a very simple way to make sure they get on very quickly. And you can tell the does on heat, as you saw from Tato, they exhibit quite strong signs. To be fair though, what I will say is they were very bonded this morning, and I noticed the change. I came down and had a look, and they were just relaxed around each other. And what was really quite interesting, and it goes to show how quickly this kind of positive company can make a difference, is when I move them from the show tank into the mini cage. Normally when I go and pick up Berko, he's very, very tense. Even when he knows I'm coming, or even when I'm kind of quite quick to try and avoid stressing him out too much, he will still be tense. I picked him up out of the show tank and there was virtually no tension there. It's definitely done him good already. You saw when I quickly brought him out earlier that he was starting to relax into my arms. The physical tension in his body is easing already, and some of that will be we're getting to know each other and he's getting used to my rat room and the people around it. But the step change from kind of yesterday to today, just from having that companion, that kind of confident companion who is fully at home here and is kind of accepting of him. She's managing to kind of not get stressed by his advances or fuss, but just be there for him. That's making such a difference. So you'll probably see, I'll come back and do some other kind of videos showing you different bonding techniques that we can use to kind of bring him on even further. But really the single biggest thing you can do for a nervous rat is give him a confident friend, or confident friends. Just think about the number that you're going to do. So the key thing with Berko is I knew he was easily overwhelmed, so I only gave him one friend, and then I will be introducing future friends. I'll probably give him a week so he kind of fully gets into his relationship with Tato and they kind of really start to bond closely. Then I will add some other girls, and I've got 3 other girls that I'll probably try them all at once then, because it's a different situation to introduce 3 rats when he's bonded with another rat versus when he was his stressy self previously. Some rats though, I would just stick it straight into an intro with a larger group, and that will work for some rats. You've really got to think about and actually almost test how they react. So if you don't know, and I'd kind of picked up a bit from Berko, I knew quite a bit about his past, etc. If you don't know about the past, I would try and start with 1 kind of calm rat to start with, or perhaps 2 calm rats, but that kind of small, low number see how they respond, give them a couple of days to kind of get used to that idea. If you know a little bit about them, like they've lived in big groups before and they've been fine and they're very social with other rats, then you can introduce more rats to quite a big group straight away. It's just understanding that it will be different for every rat. Just give them a little bit of time and read them and see how they get on too. But it really, really will make a difference to them, as this is already making a difference to little Burko now. Though he's a little bit kind of finding it hard work keeping up with Tato's demands at the moment. Bless them. Yeah, they're good little girls and boys. Right, so I will sort this video out and get it out to you, and then hopefully we shall see some further improvements next time I do on the series. Bye for now.